Hello, good day. My name is Omolara Ishala. I'm the host of Possibilities Divine. And today I actually just finished a live presentation. I sat on a panel, and the topic that I talked about there was self-esteem and inferiority complex. I tried streaming live on my platform, but for some strange reason, my internet did not cooperate. So I'm just going to do a recording here and share to my other platforms. What is self-esteem? The dictionary definition of self-esteem is, in summary, an overall perception, an overall view of your own self-worth. It is how you feel about your abilities, your limitations. So, for example, if you're not confident enough to face a crowd, or if you're not able to speak up, those are things that could form um, low self-esteem. Origin of low self-esteem for most people can be traced to maybe things that happen certain, maybe if you have children that are usually shushed, don't talk, you don't talk when older people are talking, keep quiet, keep silent, and things like that. Though all those traits, or maybe somebody who was treated badly, maybe growing up, maybe a child who didn't grow up with her own parents could have a low self-esteem, who was made to feel inferior to other children. Those are some of the ways that people develop low self-esteem. And somebody wants to ask me a question. Can we get over it? Absolutely. It's not a disease. It's just the way you perceive yourself, and you can quickly change that through reorientation. Some people, one of the things you need to understand about self-esteem is that it's linked to your identity. What do I mean by that? What is your identity? The dictionary definition for identity is qualities, beliefs, personality, looks, and expressions of a person or a group. So your identity defines you. Your identity refers to your beliefs. What are the things you believe about yourself? What are the things, what is your personality like? What do you look like? Again, social media hasn't helped anybody. When you see people who are picture perfect, the faces are flawless, the skins glow, the body shape and things like that. They're neither fat nor slim. They have hourglass shapes, and that's why you see a lot of people who, out of low self-esteem, they bleach the skin maybe because they're told they're too dark, or some people go for surgery just because, oh my goodness, I can't be fat and I want to lose weight. And you see all sorts of things that people do just because of the way they perceive their selves worth and value. And so I'm a Christian, and so most of the things that I do, almost everything that I do, has a biblical foundation. The book of Numbers, chapter 13, verse 23, Numbers 13:23, it says, there we saw giants, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. The story was the story of when God sent the children of Israel to go and discover the promised land. When they got there, it was a beautiful land. They talked about, oh, the land flowed with milk and honey. However, when they were going to wrap up that report, they said, in that land, we saw the giants, the sons of the Anak. They said, in our sight, we were in their sight, we were like grasshoppers. And so were we even in our own sight. How do you check the psyche of somebody else to know how they perceive you? Most of the time, we project the way we feel onto other people. Somebody is intimidating me, somebody is making me feel small. It's all about how you think and your perception about yourself. So, when you have low self esteem, it's important for you to start working on yourself. What are some of the things you shouldn't do? If you conclude that, okay, I think I have a low self esteem, I don't like talking when people are around, I don't like, I just like to shy away, or I overdo something, maybe because I don't care whether people respect me or not. I do disrespect myself through my actions. And so I find out that people do that to me. So how do you change that? One of the ways you can change your self-esteem is by stop comparing yourself with another person. The Bible, again, like I said, he said they comparing themselves to themselves are not wise. You'll discover that in life, there will always be somebody prettier than you. There will always be somebody richer than you. There will always be somebody who knows way more than you do. So you can learn what you don't know, but don't compare yourself with somebody because you will always fall short. So if somebody comes and says, my spouse is the best, he does this for me, he does that for me. Maybe your own spouse doesn't do that for you. That's okay. That's no reason for you to feel you're inferior to that person. Or you go to somebody else's house, their house is it's like a mansion. And you go there and you're like, oh my goodness, here am I in my two-bedroom house, and but it is yours. So again, when you compare yourself with somebody else, you will always find a place where you fall short. And that would create a feeling, a sense of less than. And so I'm a Christian. And for as many of us that are Christians, we need to understand our identity is tied up to our faith in Christ. First Peter 2:9 says, but ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a peculiar people called for to show the praises of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. When we allow this word to sink into our head, it would automatically change the way you look at yourself. So when God says I'm a royal priesthood, that means I don't have to compare myself with anybody on social media, on my street, at my place of work. Somebody comes back from a vacation, they've been away on a cruise for about a week, they went to Europe, they toured Asia, and they come back, and I'm beginning to ask myself, do we do the same kind of job? Where do they get their money? It is none of my business. If I have never traveled before, if I've never been on a vacation before, if God allows me, I can plan towards it and walk towards it and go. It doesn't, not being on a vacation doesn't make me any less than anybody. And uh, where again, when you think somebody knows way more than you do, I want you to understand that we all start from somewhere. There was a time when that person too was a novice. Nobody was born from their mother's womb knowing how to do everything. So whether somebody knows how to cook, how to formulate principles, or maybe they're just so smart, they talk about their methodologies to handle this, they talk about this, they talk about knowledge. They were novices at some point or the other. So don't let them run you out of town. What you don't know, you can learn. So if you're new to school or to a course or to a career, you can learn. And one of the things you can do is to have a mentor to say, you are an expert in this. You know how to do this. Can you please teach me? Can you tell us, please help me? And when you're not shy to admit that you don't know, you are on your path to increasing your value. But when you don't know something, you don't know how to do it, and you're like, what? I know. It's no big deal. Hmm. And then when you say that, you are likely to make a mistake that will now show you that will show everybody that you don't know how to do it. And this even covers how in our interpersonal relations, in your relationship with your spouse, in your relationship with your friends. Honestly, when I don't know anything, I'll say to my friend, please, I don't know how does this thing work? You have a younger friend who knows how things work. Please, oh, come and show me. It doesn't mean I am less than that person. It just means I'm quick to admit what I don't know so that I can learn. Your perception is what gives you release, and you define that. You are the one who will define your perception. I may not have again, in my environment, people will easily tell you, "Oh, you have an accent." Sometimes when they say that, it's supposed to be a negative thing. For some other people, it's supposed to be a conversation starter where they say, "Oh, you sound different. Where is that from?" But you can sense if somebody is about to put you down, and they tell me you have an accent. I say, "We all do." And so by saying that, I'm able to stop any negative comment from proceeding. But if I know it's just for a conversation, I said, absolutely, my accent is XYZ. And then they too will get, oh, well, don't we all? And then on and on like that. So don't allow anybody to make you feel small in your own skin. We are all new, like I said, we're all new at something. There's always a first time. And that you are a pro does not mean you will not have an area where you are less than others. The fact that you're a professional in a particular area, for example, I'm a registered nurse. And when you talk about assessing the patient, medication administration, when you talk about procedures, for somebody who is an engineer, they will be looking at me and staring at me. The same way I too will be looking at an engineer when they're going through their own vocabulary and talking about the area of their professionalism. So when you get to a place where you know, okay, I'm a novice, be willing to learn. When you get to the place where you need to talk about who you are, I'm not talking about bragging. I'm not talking about being pride, exhibiting pride, but I'm talking about just showing what you know when you need to show it. And it's healthy self-esteem to know when you are wanted, especially in relationships. Women, There are times when you know that a relationship has outgrown its usefulness and you need to move forward. If you don't move forward from that relationship, it has a tendency to become toxic and affect you. Self-esteem, a healthy self-esteem will make you step away when you're being disrespected. You say stop it. Or and if they're not willing to stop it, you step away from such a relationship. And that is part of exercising or showing healthy self-esteem. And the people I consider smart and better, what are the qualities they have? What are the qualities they possess that make me see them as stuff as such? So somebody is smart and and they carry on, and I look at their life, they're being successful. So one of the things I can do is to find out, how are you doing? What are those things? You find all tapes, you find YouTube videos, find books about what successful people do. You can improve your own life by reading those books. As a matter of fact, for you to overcome self-esteem, you need to add value to yourself. Somebody says, what do you mean by add value? What are those areas? What are those habits? You have to look in your life. What are those habits that don't make for healthy self-esteem? That, when I'm in company of people, maybe because I don't know what to say, maybe I don't know how to act. How and I thank God for the world now. You can search up pretty much anything by typing it into Google. So if you don't know how to relate with people, type it. If you don't know how to start a conversation, type it. If you don't know how to cook, clean, just practically everything, the information is out there. You can dig it, you can look into it, and you can improve yourself. I have discovered that when you add value to yourself, your company changes. What do I mean by your company? The people you associate with, the people you hang out with, they automatically change when you add value to yourself. Maybe you are holding on to certain relationships because, birds of the same feather flock together. Those people, they serve your purpose about talking about people. I'm sure you've heard it said that small minds discuss people. Average mind discuss, I don't know how to say it, I can't remember successful, but you know what, strong and forward looking minds discuss ideas and how to get better. And so those are the kind of people you should associate with. If you associate with people who are always talking about who does she think she is, what does she think she's doing, they're always talking down at people. I want you to know that the minute you turn around, those same people will talk down at you with another group of people. So look to keep company with those who can bring improvement to you, who can add value to you, who can improve your self-worth. And when you do this, you'll find out that your self-esteem will improve. Do not tell people you are inferior through your admissions. Oh, hey, when they say something, you say, me, the blouse that I'm wearing, it's so cheap, it's so fake. Even my earrings, I got it for $2. My this, and you talk yourself down. Talk yourself down. Am I saying you should wear a top and say it's Gucci when it's not? No. What I'm saying is that there is no need for you to over admit. Somebody says you look nice. Oh, thank you very much. Learn to accept compliment. It is a sign of a healthy self-esteem. You have done a hard work. Maybe you finished a course and they're congratulating. Says, I don't I don't know anything. It's God. Oh, yes, it's God. But at the same time, you two have contributed. You have put in an effort, and somebody is recognizing it. Be able to say thank you. Thank you. I'm grateful. And then you say, I give God all the glory. So when you are in a relationship, if you have low self-esteem, you are likely to feel abused. Every man is a psychologist, every woman is a psychologist. So when you improve your self esteem, you don't feel anybody is looking down on you. You don't feel anybody is, oh, is it because oftentimes when people look and say, oh, that person wanted to intimidate me, when you find out, when you go, the person may not even have an idea of what you're going through. But because of the way you feel, you think that person is looking down on me. So you need to improve your self-worth, improve your perception about yourself. And you find out that even your outlook towards life will be better. Do not be obstinate. How do you overcome low self-esteem? Don't be obstinate. Don't be stuck up in your old ways. Be willing to learn new things. For example, you get into a new environment, maybe you migrate to a new environment, things will be different from where you're coming from. Sometimes you have to go through a process, you have to start from the bottom and then grow your way up. And it doesn't mean that, oh, your life has, your life, your good life is terminated and now you are reduced to nothing. No, It just means that you are learning process. Once you become stabilized, you'll be able to go high up. One of my big sisters will say a lizard in Africa is a lizard in America. So wherever you find yourself, your 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 innate abilities, they are transferable and they are deplorable anywhere you find yourself. So your location doesn't terminate or reduce your value. Flexibility is crucial to integrate in any environment you find yourself. So whether you just changed a job, you just got into a new position, it's important to find out how do they do things here? What is the system? How do things work and adjust? I'm going to speak about flexibility when it comes to marriage. You get married, maybe your husband is from a very rich family, and maybe you're from an average or a not very average family. Don't feel every time you go to your in-laws place, they are out to get you or make you feel small. No, you need to grow into what God has provided for you. If you find yourself in a wealthy environment, grow yourself into it. Learn how to do things. Be decent. Don't overdo anything. If you are from a rich family and you're married to a humble, your husband is from a humble background, learn how they do things. Don't be overbearing. Get there to learn how things are done and display humility, which is a virtue. And so, whichever side of the divide you find yourself, try and learn how to adjust, and you find out that you will be fine. Pay attention to how things are done when you're in a different culture. The only thing you must not do is that you must not compromise your faith. If you're a person of faith like me, everywhere I go to, whatever I do must align with my faith and my belief system. No one is looking down at you. You are feeling small. If you get into an environment and you're like, they don't like me, they were looking at me, they were looking. If I get to a new environment and I'm the only person of color, and I don't know how they do their things, I keep quiet. That is not the time to show what I know. I just have to be willing to learn. And so, for every one of us, whether you're in diaspora or whether you find yourself growing or in a new environment, don't be quick to say, nobody likes me. Nobody even knows you. How can anybody know you within a week of working in an environment? So you need to learn, you need to pay attention. And you find out that the more you do that, the better things will. And so once you understand how the system works, then you'll be able to adjust appropriately. Are there obnoxious and rude people out there who would like to make you feel bad? Absolutely. There are people who would want to look at you and say, I'm going to cut you to size, whether they know you or not. So it's now your position to to tell yourself, it's not about me, it's about them. They have issues. Let me maintain my inner strength, who I am. Again, your identity comes to play. If you know who you are, you will not get easily rattled. How do you deal with them? At work, you need to stand your ground. If you get somewhere and somebody wants to walk over you, the first few the first few encounters, you try and study the environment, and then the next one you know how to act appropriately, know when to say no. Oftentimes, in a bid to appear nice, we say yes to everything, and then we become overwhelmed, and then we bust. We're like, and then everybody's like, what happened? I only asked that you. It's because you've internalized and you've taken you so much on. But when you learn to say no, you set boundaries, firm boundaries. You know your limits. You know when to say yes, you know when to say no. People will respect you for it as well. Every opportunity you're given, try to excel. Put your best foot forward, put your best face forward, put your best forward in anything that you aim to do. And when your best is not good enough, always be willing to learn, always be willing to allow criticism to make you a better person. Somebody says, they're always criticizing me. What are they saying? Is there an element of truth in it? Is there anything you need to adjust based on what they're saying? That is sometimes how you grow. That is sometimes how you improve yourself. And so learn and understand process. Learning and understanding process means understanding that there is a difference between the worth of flour and the worth of cake. Flour, maybe a whole bag of flour is about $10, and you can get cakes into the thousands of dollars because value has been imputed into that cake. Cake has gone through process, flour hasn't. That's why flour will always be cheaper than cake. And be like cake, aim to be like cake. Increase your value, improve your value so that you can be better desired. You can increase your value through the learnings, learning, reading book, exposing yourself, even to things that are not comfortable. Oftentimes, I've read it somewhere. It says, "Whatever agitates you, stay with it." If something makes you uncomfortable, it agitates you, stay with you. Stay with it. Find out more about it. And you find out that the more you stay with it, you master it and you become even a master at it. Complex. I'm looking at my time. What is inferiority complex? It is an unrealistic feeling of general inadequacy caused by actual or supposed inferiority in one sphere, sometimes marked by aggressive behavior and compensation. So sometimes you see people who have inferiority complex, they feel a sense of inadequacy. And so in a bid to cover it up, they become aggressive, they act out, they're quick to throw a fit or a tantrum. If you say something, they have an issue with it. Or inferiority complex is what makes some people backbite. They look at somebody, so who does she think she is? Does she think she knows everything? Does she think her husband is important? Does she think she's, and they carry on. Somebody who has no beef of any sort with them, but because they are inferior, they in that inadequacy they project it forward. So, for how do you get? What are some of the things that people do that show that they are experiencing inferiority complex? It can be traced to an abusive childhood or negative childhood experience. So somebody feels, okay, I'm less than. Everybody's always looking at me. Everybody's always making me. Everybody's always. So it's always about how everybody else perceives them and judges them or makes them inadequate. Um, it can affect the way people dress, it can affect the way they eat, it can affect their entertainment. So oftentimes people who have inferiority complex, they'll feel like an outsider, they feel like a misfit, they don't like being in the forefront because they feel, or they can be in the forefront for the wrong reason and causing problem and whatnot. So what are some of the things that can make you a few things that will make you feel inferior or suffer inferiority complex? Like I said, comparison is a thief of joy and peace. Stop comparing yourself with others. Appreciate the privilege of life, of where you are. I don't know how far you have moved in life, whether you finished your degree, whether you have a job, whether you're married, whether you have children, whether you're renting a house, whether you own a house. What are those things that we look at in life as check marks? I've been able to do this. Whatever it is that you've been able to accomplish in life, be grateful. Appreciate God, because when you appreciate God for where you are, you can be sure that He will yet take you to higher heights. Aim higher than where you are. Don't be satisfied with just where you are. Look for better opportunities. Look for opportunities to improve yourself. Look for opportunities to do better than what you're doing currently. There's always room at the top. The reason why people get into complex is because it's so crowded at the bottom of the ladder and everybody's struggling, striving, quarreling. But when you move up, there is space at the top and you can express yourself in a better way. You can explore more opportunities where the higher you go. Be confident of what God has said about you. Like I said, I'm a Christian, so everything that you say has its root in the Word of God. I know what God says about me. He says I'm the head and not the tail. He said He has given me victory over situations and circumstances. So when things when I come across limiting factors, I affirm myself through the Word of God. So when I speak what the Word of God says about me, I discover that opportunities open. I have insight into what I need to do next. So don't be hard on yourself. When you're in a situation, it seems as if you're the only odd one out. Don't be hard on yourself. Keep adding value. Keep improving yourself. Keep growing. Expose yourself to good and healthy company. When you look around and you see that everybody's always talking about somebody else, everybody's always um quarreling or disagreeing over a point. Everybody's trying to prove themselves as being true and right all the time. Maybe it's time for you to change that company and look into company of people that you can look up to, people that you can draw inspiration from, people that can make you better. I have discovered that small people belittle people. When people are small, either in their psyche or in their mentality, there's a tendency for them to belittle other people. So be comfortable in your identity. Be comfortable in who God has called you to be. Don't be easily moved by criticism, like I said, but accept criticism as opportunity for improvement. Job 12:13, it says, I am not inferior to anyone. I'm not inferior to anyone. If any situation or anybody wants to make you feel inferior, recognize that you're not inferior to anybody. You have an understanding too. Indeed, you anybody can understand whatever they're going through. Who doesn't know how to ride a big car or handle a big job? But you know what? Whatever phase you are in, make sure you handle it well. Um, in the environment where I am, if you're not from here, you'll have a different accent. Whether you're from the UK, or even from America, there are different accents in America. Never mind when you come from Asia or Africa. So when somebody says you have an accent in a negative way, tell them they do have an accent too. Don't let anything negativity or criticism pull you down. Lack of money or clout. Having money is a function of hard work and God's blessing. When God creates an opportunity for you, all those things that you seem you're struggling with, it's not enough. A time will come when you have more than enough. I remember the story of a brother in my church. Nice, wonderful brother. He said, there was a time in my life when I couldn't afford meat. And now I work hard and I can afford meat. The doctor says I should avoid red meat. And again, this was a man who's been through a lot and he acknowledged it. Is at a point where food is no longer his problem. I'm not sure if food is your problem right now. I want you to understand that God is able to change your situation. That things that used to be a problem will no longer be a problem. And somebody says, I don't have connection, I don't have influence. It's a matter of time. When you discover your purpose and you start being a blessing to people, you discover that the people whose life you touch, whose life you impact, will become your sphere of influence. And automatically, you now become somebody that people will be referencing. I remember 1942. You were the one who did this. You're the one who allowed me to, who created this opportunity for me, and on like that. And so don't be inferior. Don't feel inferior to anybody because of what of the face they're living now. Your own face of impact and increase and influence will come. Keep adding value. Influence only comes to those who add value. Um, know that you're not like anyone. I'm going to be wrapping up now. Know that you're not like anyone. You are unique, you are special, and there's no other speck like you. If you look at your fingerprints, nobody else has those fingerprints. What does that tell me? There are no two people who look exactly like me. I am different. I am unique in my thinking, in my perception. And do you think it was Anuba who got me to this place? No, it's the grace of God and understanding and adding value that brought me this far. Have I experienced low self-esteem in the past? Absolutely. Have I experienced inferiority complex in the past? Absolutely. But now I've outgrown that by the grace of God. And so that gives me confidence to encourage you that whatever it is that you're feeling, oh, my friends don't invite me when they have their functions. How important are you when you consider the grand scale of things in their function? If you're not very important, if you're not key to any of the things they're doing, they won't invite you. But if you're very important, then they will invite you. So if you're not important, how important is their event to your life? So it's important for you to understand that some of the things that we worry about, some of the things that we do that we allow to define us are not even important in the grand scale of things. So the generation of the fathers of those who are making you feel small now will yet acknowledge and appreciate God's greatness in your life at a point. So I hope this has blessed someone. Do have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day and know that you are not inferior to anybody. God bless you.